Welcome to the fantastic Mr. B. In this video, we'll learn the understanding of a fraction times a fraction. Make sure to grab some paper and a pencil so you can work along with me. All right, let's get to it. Before we can actually understand our multiplication of a fraction times a fraction, let's step back and look at what we already know about multiplying whole numbers. We have 2 times 3. So we have 2 groups of 3 pieces. So I can simply go ahead and draw out 2 groups. And how many do I have in each circle? Well, I have 3. So I have 1, 2, 3 unicorns in one group. And then I have 1, 2, 3 unicorns in another group. And then to solve it, I add up both groups. So my answer equals 6. When I multiply whole numbers, my product is always larger than my factors. So now let's take a look at our fractions. The difference when we multiply fractions, we actually are multiplying a number that is less than 1 times a number that is less than 1. So our answer is actually going to be smaller than both of our factors. So what's really happening is we're not multiplying, we're actually dividing. So we have 1/2 of a group. We don't even have a full group. Of means to multiply, and then we have half pieces, or half of it. So we have half of a group, and we have half of a whole. So let's pretend we're eating a pizza. We only have half of our pizza left over. This shaded part is what we have left over. This part is not there anymore. And we want now to cut it in half. So when we cut this pizza in half, we can't just do that because now our pieces are not the same size. And when we deal with fractions, all of our pieces have to be the same size. So now I have to actually pretend like I'm cutting through this empty pan. So now all my fractions are the same size. And so if I only had one of these, I have 1 out of 4 pieces. And when I multiply straight across. So 1 times 1 equals 1, and 2 times 2 equals 4. So I showed you why we have 1/4. Let's take a look at our problem underneath. We have 1/2 times 2/3. I'll draw it out as a circle, but I'll also show you a second strategy. And let's remember, when we multiply, it doesn't matter what order we multiply, whether we multiply 1/2 times 2/3 or 2/3 times 1/2. So as long as you're drawing out the fractions, that's really what's important. So if I draw this out as a circle, I can say I start off with 1/2 of a pizza. And this time we have the right side. I have 2/3 of this piece that's left over. But the problem here is all my pieces aren't the same size, even in this empty spot right here. I need to pretend to cut it because even if they're not there, I want to know what my fraction of that whole pizza is. So I need to extend my lines from where I cut to have a total of 6 pieces. So now you can see I have 2 out of 6. So if you multiplied straight across, 1 times 2 equals 2, and 2 times 3 equals 6. So we have 2/6, but I could also simplify that into 1/3. I want to show you one more strategy that might help you with this problem. Let me clean up my board for a moment. All right, for my other strategy, I wind up drawing a rectangle. I kind of like to think of this as lasagna or a pan of brownies. I start with my first fraction, 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut my pan in half like this. And then I'm going to take one of them and I'm going to shade one side. Now I'm going to label 1/2 at the top. Now I'm going to jump to my second fraction of 2/3. And I'm going to cut across horizontally, and I'm going to cut 3 pieces. And when I cut, I only have to do 2 cuts because I have actually 3 pieces. So you always do one less cut than your denominator. So I did 2 lines, but I have 3 pieces all the way across. So I'm going to shade in 1, but when I shade it in, I go all the way across, even if there's no blue in it or whatever color you're using. And if I'm using this method and I'm using 2 fractions that are not improper, I will always have a blank area. I will always have an area with 1 color. I'll always have an area with another color. And then I'll have an area where they overlap. So I have 2/3 on the side. And so now I can go ahead and all I have to do, and now I can see the colors that overlap will tell me my fraction. I have 1 and 2 out of 6 pieces. So I have 2/6. So that's what's really happening when we multiply fractions. We're actually dividing and getting a smaller product. All right, that wraps up our video on understanding fractions times fractions. I hope I was able to help you understand this concept better. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. And until next time, this is Mr. B. Later.